Yeah, let's see. Mm-hmm. That one's not bad. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. Oh, that's good right there. Yeah. Oh, live. Oh crap. Sorry. Sorry everybody. I was just browsing for a new avatar for my channel. Uh, oh, Captain, my Captain. Good day. How is everybody? Um, YouTube is up to its usual tricks. This is take 3 that I've tried to kind of start this chat. First time it timed out because I put Lillian down for a nap and the computer went to sleep, so I guess that resets everything. Makes sense. But then it was really hard to connect again, and I got a connection, and then that failed. And so let's hope that this is out there. Let's hope that we're live. Got the Gigi Allen shirt on today. I figured this maybe was an appropriate shirt to wear today. So I got some music in the mail, or what I call music anyway. I know this video isn't going to meet everybody's taste, and that's completely fine. If you're looking for comics talk and stuff, there's sort of a comic involved in this here. It's kind of noisier stuff. Recently, amongst a bunch of people on Twitter, people like Oddfellow's Thoughts, and of course, Running with Comics, and Mercy's Little Show, and myself, and et cetera, et cetera. People have been posting more about like records and just music. There's been a bit more music talk. And over the past kind of few months, I've kind of gotten a little more back into listening to music. I've been going, my whole life, music has been kind of like my first love or passion or whatever. And I followed it really closely, and I followed all sorts of genres, and it was just something that I listened to all the time. In the past couple of years, music has taken a back seat. And I haven't really listened to it, partially due to, you end up living with somebody and tastes are different. Some of the things that I used to listen to, I can't exactly just play in the house. It's maybe not something that's going to appeal to everybody in the house, and I understand that. In slowly building my world downstairs, I'm giving myself a little more outlets to go down there and listen to music. So I can listen to stuff that I want to hear that's not going to drive everybody else in the household crazy. But all of that said, I've been getting back into it quite a bit more, and kind of not rediscovering, because I've always had a love for it. It's just that things have come up lately that I've wanted to listen to some specific genres. I made myself a MP3 disc for the car of some really out there black metal stuff, Lugubrum being one of the ones that's really hit me as a favorite, and stuff like that. The black metal genre itself is or can be questionable for sure, and I think it's appropriate to some degree of what I've been thinking about things recently. Where do you draw the line between what somebody presents as art versus what they are in real life, or what their views are in real life? Understanding that, especially within some genres, there's a tendency to add a theatrical element to it. I think the black metal genre itself is one of those genres. Not that there aren't some really serious people with some very serious viewpoints, not saying that at all. There are people who feel that their culture has been destroyed by Christianity, so they have burned churches, and they have committed acts of violence, and they have gone to prison and then gotten out of prison for those acts. But when you kind of dig deeper into some of these genres, there's for sure a group of people that kind of take those tropes of the genre and play on them. So maybe they don't feel necessarily exactly what the genre restraints imply. And that can be a little bit of a tricky thing to discern, right? One of the things that's come up in my recent kind of Twitter life is Brendan McCarthy. I saw a post of the inauguration, and it was of some people rioting, and he had some comment, some offhanded comment about, oh, these poor snowflakes can't handle a democratic election and that sort of thing. And I wasn't sure. I kind of responded to him, what? And kind of like took notice, retyped a couple of the kind of quote unquote trigger words that are used sometimes by people from all sorts of left and right and center sides, you know, just because I was confused if it was, are you making a joke? Is this a bit of satire? What's the purpose here? So I started following the thread and kind of going back through his history and discovering that maybe he really does hold some of those, what I would call more conservative beliefs or right-wing beliefs. To what extent, I don't know. And it kind of came up, and I'm still struggling with it a little bit, to be honest. It kind of came up for me that how important is that to me? How important is it that he has these beliefs, and then in that regard, what does it mean for me and the enjoyment of his art? It really ends up tainting the art. Somebody had made a comment to him, I'm not sure who, nobody that I know, just a person on Twitter had made a comment about like, so what does that mean for Judge Dredd? Is that really how you see the world? Because I always thought it was satire. I mean, it's a really good point, because it does present that if you have a certain set of beliefs, it's going to taint all the art before that. There's going to be a different reading for everything. Sometimes that can work to a benefit, to give you a bit of insight into somebody whose beliefs may be different than your own. And then sometimes it can be in a, like, you almost feel duped a little bit, because his art and the projects that he's done that I'm attracted to and stuff that I like have always seemed a little, I mean, I've never associated a political viewpoint with his art. Let's just get that out there. I never associated like, oh, clearly this guy is left, or clearly this guy's, you know, as reading it, I could see that maybe things were a little more to the left, because there was kind of this spiritualist aspect to it and this transcending reality kind of nature to his work and things. So, but it's not something that I consciously focused on, because that wasn't the main thing. His political statements in the art that I liked from him, or the stuff that I've read from him, wasn't something that was big on my mind. I just like his fucking art, you know? And he's associated with Mad Max Fury Road. And it's a whole, and it's funny because even that has come up in my life recently. We've had some talk with I've had some various conversations about our industry, the industry that I work in here in Winnipeg, the film industry that I work in Winnipeg, and film in general across Canada. I've heard stories of the stunt team that was with the Mad Max Fury Road movie, that they were a little bit of cowboys, and they were a little kind of unsafe, and they had this kind of approach to things. And I was a little surprised, because again, when I thought of like the creator, I thought maybe he was a little smarter than that, a little this. I'm pausing because I'm really trying to choose my words. I'm not trying to be, I'm trying to make sure that my point is coming across, really. And maybe that's an aside, all that stuff is an aside, but all this stuff has come up about that world, and then Brendan Graham has been involved in that. So I don't know where I sit on things like that. Because of the time that it is right now in the world, especially in the United States, things are taking a little bit of a different lean Plus, I'm not some punk ass teenager anymore, as much as sometimes I may act like one. It's really not the way that I am. So all this kind of comes around to a package of how you want to present yourself. One of the other genres that I'm kind of getting back into is like noise and experimental music. And a lot of the artists in that realm that I respect, or that I, maybe not respect, that's a bad word. That's not the right word. I mean, a lot of the artists that I enjoy are people that take more of a performance art style to their noise making, and there's a little bit of a world building. There's a little bit of like there's costumes and things like that, so it almost presents itself as like a play, and then something that really takes place in this made up world that has a lot of basis in reality. Sometimes, not all the time. Some of it is just kind of something to allow the sounds to exist. And then my friend Fletcher came to visit this winter, and I don't know how many people know. I'm guessing it was newsworthy for a lot of places. In Oakland, they had a fire at, I think the place was called the Ghost Ship. Sorry if I'm getting the name wrong, of the art collective building that caught on fire, and some people passed away. One of the people that passed away was a co-owner and musician of Ratskin Records. And during our conversation about how things were going for Fletcher down in the States and his schooling, and just music creating in general, we're just talking about this, and this became one of the things. And I realized that one of the artists that's on Ratskin Records, and one of the guys that was a co-owner, also had a band that he had was called Styrofoam Sanchez, that I've enjoyed for a little while now. I've really enjoyed watching videos on YouTube. He unfortunately is one of the gentlemen that passed away in that fire. So it just kind of spurred a even more interest in kind of exploring the art and supporting the art. So I got in touch with them and ordered the record and ordered some tapes. And I'd just like to share some of that with you. So again, especially in that area of the country, there's a lot of artists, and I've talked about them before, even spilling over into games like Cave Evil that I really enjoy. There's a lot of artists down there that I really respect and admire what they're doing. I really, really enjoy it. It's something that really speaks to me. Guys like Rubber Cement, even bands like Caroline or Hans Grussel's Cranking Cabinet, the Brand Pause, Loachfillet, et cetera, et cetera. There's just a lot of people that have a sound, have a look that I really, really enjoy. And I find it incredibly entertaining. And it's nice to kind of rediscover that love and be back into it. So at this point, why don't we'll talk about one artist at a time here. So let me click on this and we'll do this. I'm trying to screen share here. The first artist that I've known a little bit about, I have a cassette tape, Loachfillet versus Froth Fingers. And it's a name that I've seen every once in a while. That's come up, and there was a tape that Ratskin Records had that I didn't previously have. So here's a little sample of what can always be seen as kind of mad scientists at work with some of this music. So anyway, there you go. You get a sense of that. Let's stop that part of it. The other place that I know Loachfillet from is this DVD as well that I've had for a long time, Fairy Tale Favorites. So a lot of this stuff is kind of not necessarily always called noise. This is kind of called brutal sound effects. A lot of it is a lot of what a devil music you're playing. Hey, Larasa, how the hell are you? A lot of it is kind of meant to almost be an abstract accompaniment to visuals. So what they did is they had this festival or this little show where they had these old fairy tales, and then these bands, these experimental bands, would do a live soundtrack over top of them. And Loachfillet was one of them. This one is really good. The Brand Pause is on here. Tarantism is on here. Head Boggle Domo and Hans Grussel's Cranky Cabinet with an amazing, amazing piece. So I know Loachfillet from that, and he's probably on this as well. Actually, no, maybe not. But this was another kind of DVD back in the day that opened my eyes to a lot of these shows, a lot of these artists. At the time, I'm not sure if there was really, if I was doing much searching on eBay or on YouTube for this sort of thing or not. Clearly, the internet was existing. It wasn't that long ago or anything, but it was nice to have like a physical copy again and like supporting the bands. So one of the tapes that I ordered was a Loachfillet release that I have not already heard. Open it up here. And it's another thing that's beautiful about this kind of genre of noise or music. You get to do, I like the cassette format. I like CDRs. I like records. I like, especially the cassette format for noise has always been something that's been really big within the community, I guess. Going back, a long, long time ago, even guys like Merzbow were putting out cassettes, and there was a lot of experimentation going on with packaging of cassettes and that sort of thing, and art, and it's just a really great thing, especially listening to this on a little cassette ghetto blaster, little cassette radio, gives it an added kind of dimension, that mono type of music. And then as a gift, he gave me a tape by a band called Black Dog, who I don't know anything about. Had a brief look inside, and I don't recognize any of the names, but I'll look into them more later. Yeah, Larasa, I completely love cassettes. When we were recording music, when we were making music and making sounds and noise and all sorts of bizarre shit, we did many a cassette. It was just a really great thing to do. It's really easy to make. You can make your own art for it. You can buy them in bulk. There's always a place in whatever town you happen to be where you can go and find bulk blank cassette tapes to purchase. And if not, you can find them online. You can do 5-minute cassettes. You can do 90-minute cassettes. There's everything out there. You can get them in different colors. You can get them clear. It's just a really fun format. And it was something that really became even more fun when we did our little tours with Crack, was obviously the group's name. When you could bring your own cassettes, and then when you could make cassettes and then you could trade with other artists, it was just something nice to have as well. And did I ever make cassettes for my girlfriend? Oh my God, are you kidding? Of course I did. I've made many a cassette tape in my life for girlfriends, and both past and present. Although for Special Sexy Lady Friend, I don't think I made a cassette for her, but I did make a mixed CD for her of a bunch of music, or a couple of them at least, when we were first starting to date. One that was a lot of like some good soul music and that sort of thing, and then one that was just some you know, not way out there type of stuff. Obviously, some electronic music and things, but mostly rap and hip hop based and grime based, like from the UK. It's always a fun thing to do, just putting a CD together. I still make her CDs every once in a while. She's got a CD player in her car. Unfortunately, she doesn't have an MP3 player in her car. Her CD player doesn't play MP3s. It's not new enough. It's like a factory stereo that just came with her ride. The best Valentine's Day gift ever, hey? Yeah. So cassettes are great, but the one thing that I did want to order was this Styrofoam Sanchez. Maybe what we'll do is I'll give you a look at a piece of what these guys are like. Let me screen share again here. Brace yourselves. Start screen share. Maybe that's coming up. It's funny, this window, I don't know if it's this computer, this laptop that's bogged down. It might be if you are seeing something. There we go. Now I'm seeing something. Here we go. Let's let this ride for a moment. Oh, sorry. I think I may have messed it up. There you have it. Sorry, I'm messing things up. I'm really good at doing this sort of thing. I think that stopped. There we go. So I mean, you can get a sense there of, you know, the headpieces that they're wearing are made out of styrofoam, and their kind of ethos or their kind of backstory is that they're these. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be human or if they're just supposed to be something that's emerged out of rubbish and trash that's in the middle of the oceans. There's a lot of imagery of melting polar ice caps with their artwork and things like that. There's performances that I've seen where styrofoam is actually the sound generator, so they'll contact mic it and things and run them through pedals and effects pedals and kind of make a bass noise out of that. They do incorporate lyrics or vocals in a lot of their stuff. That's a little more of maybe the black or the metal type variety. And all of that just lends itself to me as just something fantastic. I love the look. I love the use of visuals. I love the kind of handmade element of it. And I mean, I guess if you've watched my channel long enough, you know that that's something that appeals to me across the board. I like the weirdo underground comics. I like stuff that looks like it's just been created by some guy in his bedroom, and then he just can't help it. He has to create this art, and he prints it up and sends it out there. I really, really respond to stuff like that. People that are just creative in different ways than stuff that you see every day. We're bombarded with all sorts of imagery, and we're bombarded with music, and we're bombarded with so much mainstream culture everywhere you go. You really have to make choices to not be exposed to that sort of thing. We don't have cable TV, for example, so I'm not exposed to commercials. When I go to the theaters, when they started showing commercials in the theaters, it's something that drove me crazy. And I would yell throughout the commercials and, you know, raise a fuss about it. It's hard not to just get bombarded by things that everybody else wants you to see. So it's always fun to do that little bit of digging and find something that really appeals to you, not only in, and this stuff appeals to me not only in the fact that I love sounds and I love noise and I love that sort of thing. I'm really, I don't know, it's just something that I've always liked. Spiro, I think, asked me at one point, what is it about it that you enjoy? And ultimately, there's so many things about it. I love just the idea of pure sound as something that can be used to make a piece of art or make a piece of music. I like the idea of expanding the limitations of what's called music, and a lot of this noise is really expanding what you would classically think of as a song or as a piece of music. I love the idea of time can be used in some of this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? When my friend and I were playing noise, one of the things that I always kind of went back to with our pieces, and a lot of the stuff that I wasn't seeing happening in Winnipeg with other experimental musicians, was what I called movement. This idea of, yes, it's abstract. Yes, maybe there's no time signature, but things still have to move. Things, I like this, the idea of sound changing and playing against each other and just moving forward, this idea of momentum within music. So, I mean, there's a lot about it that I do love. And then I sometimes, because this is how I feel about this right now, that I'm about to enter into a world with Styrofoam Sanchez that I don't fully understand. I don't know too much about them. This is going to give me a chance to really dive in, which is why I wanted to buy this set specifically. So with that said, let's have a look. So the first thing is, it's a record, an LP, Styrofoam Sanchez, and it's called Empire Underwater. And there on the front cover, without the glare, you can see a lot of ice and snow and water and just kind of mildly manipulated to give it an unusual kind of look. We'll turn it upside down and you can see as well, even up here, you can see it's been mildly manipulated. On the back cover of that sucker. And inside we get a beautiful white record, which is fantastic. Again, bringing that theme of like the snow and ice. You get a little, let me try to set this aside here. Little insert that talks about what's on the record itself, and some more photographs. And then it also talks about the other thing that comes with this set is a DVD. So here's kind of the basic information for what's almost an hour-long DVD. So you get not only the music presented, you get some visuals presented, you get a little bit of context and some of their art presented on this DVD that comes with it as well. And this is called Macular Edema. The front of that, and the back of that sucker. And then on top of that, is if that wasn't enough for you, you also get, and here's the comics part of this video, you get a giant magazine-sized comic where they bring you even more into this world that they've created with their art. And I mean, you can see those heads there are very reminiscent of the video that you saw with the styrofoam shapes jutting out of the tops of their skulls. And you can see them at the bottom there. So this will be really interesting. We have some words, I'm guessing lyrics to some of the songs, matched with the art, matched with just, again, more world building. You know, this is what their world looks like. This is where they have come from. This is what they see as their surroundings. Love that. Look at those guys down there. It's fantastic. Really, really fantastic. So I'm really, really looking forward to diving headlong into this. After I'm done here, I will be watching sitting for an hour and watching the DVD first and foremost. Yeah, so that's really it. I mean, it's an unfortunate event that one of the guys did pass away. It's really unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, you know, but then the art exists and the world exists after the passing, right? So I should have I should have looked into this much earlier than I did, but here we are looking into it now, and really, really glad that I managed to get a look into this world that he helped create. Thank you so much, Ratskin Records, first of all, for just having this kind of stuff available, and all these underground music labels across the world. I mean, it's something that, you know, I know that it's not for everybody. I completely understand that. It's very different, and that can be not only a scary thing, but also it's just not sounds that appeal to people. It's not a style of music that appeals to people, and I completely understand that. But if any of this has sparked your interest, I would highly recommend, you know, watching some videos. I'll try to leave some links for some of these other bands that I was talking about. Have a look at places like Ratskin Records. Just, you know, follow some links. Every time you click on a video, if you do search for Styrofoam Sanchez or Ratskin Records, you'll get a whole list of things that come up. When you click on a video, there's always recommended videos that kind of relate to what you're watching. Follow some of those links. You know, again, if it appeals to you, if this type of thing is interesting to you, I say go for it. Take the dive. And even if it doesn't interest you specifically, just understand that, yes, mainstream stuff doesn't always work for people. Yes, there are going to be things that you find annoying and frustrating. And yes, there's going to be themes that you find just really bad, poorly written. Just know that that's not the only thing out there. And I know a lot of you, especially who watch my channel, know that already. This is more for the people who may have stumbled onto this video, or other people that I have a bunch of new subscribers over the past month or two. So people that may be just new to the channel, just know that my outlook on all this stuff is, if mainstream Marvel, DC, Big Two books or the radio aren't presenting you with things that you find entertaining, don't participate. There is nothing forcing you to participate. Take a moment. Look at the independent racks of your local comic book shops. Look on YouTube for something different. All it takes is finding one video, or finding one book, or finding one creator, or finding one artist, or finding one idea that may be a little different from your own, that'll lead you down a path that you may come out the other end as really, really loving, and discovering something that then feels like it's yours, which is also the thing with this type of stuff, or with a lot of the stuff that I pursue in my kind of life in general. It ends up feeling, you end up feeling a little more ownership, and it feels a little more a part of you, and it feels a little more meaningful because you've had to put in the work, and because you've had to put yourself out there, and just really, it becomes yours to some degree. You feel like you've discovered it. You feel like you're bringing it into the world, and that's a really great feeling. Again, it's not yours. I do understand that this is not mine, because there's also that fine line of, if you identify with it too much, when given element starts doing things that you don't like, you can get offended by it. It's important to keep that distance, because I think that's something that happens too much within mainstream comics and media. People do feel an attachment to it, so when they are talking about things that they don't necessarily believe in, they get really offended by it. And it's unfortunate, because at the end of the day, It's all art. It's all entertainment. It's all there to, yes, there's underlying messages and themes and in all sorts of art. You know, and I guess the other side of it is grow the fuck up. If you don't like it, you don't like it. We don't care that you don't like it. To some degree, there's obviously a limitation to criticism. Of course, criticize things. Of course, dissect things. But when that becomes your main mode of expression is negativity and criticizing and putting down everybody who wants to participate in that, who might have different feelings other than your own, it's just childish, immature bullshit. Get over yourselves. Get over it. Move on. Explore the world. It's a huge fucking world out there, and there's a lot of weird shit out there that's fantastic to participate in. So there you go. There's my soapbox for today. Thanks so much, Larissa, for joining me. I do see you talking here. She's just agreeing that advertising is evil, and she hasn't watched television for maybe 5 years now and couldn't be happier. And I completely agree. I don't miss having cable TV one bit. There's more than enough to watch on Netflix. I've got more than enough DVDs and Blu-rays to watch. And she's saying that she loved the look of the sleeve. And yes, I really, really love it. I think it's a really appealing imagery. Very, very well done in kind of this black and white format. So yeah, and upside down, right side up, sideways. It's all really appealing. Thank you very much for watching. I see there was a couple of other viewers that came in and out. Thanks everybody to watching. And if you are watching in the future, thank you as well. I will really make an attempt to put some links to this video for Ratskin Records and Styrofoam Sanchez, et cetera, for you all to explore if you choose to. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you.